Here I have this Livewire component in my server. Here I have the artisan commands serving the web server website, the npm running the bundling, the logs, Conveyor server, and I'm going to dispatch this event, and you'll see it coming to the browser right here. Alright, I have an event listened in the browser. I have the callback consoling log, and I have the event reaching the backend as well. Let's see how that's made. Hello, I'm here to present a new package that I built called LiveBelt. LiveBelt is a Laravel Livewire component for real-time interactions using Socket Conveyor. So you might ask, what is Socket Conveyor? Well, Socket Conveyor is a WebSocket package for PHP that makes real-time communication simple. It's perfect for adding live updates, chat system, or notifications to your application, all via WebSockets. It makes integration with WebSocket functionality straightforward and reliable. So let's see how it works. We are going to create a Laravel application from scratch. We're going to install LiveBelt with all its dependencies, and then we're going to run a very simple Conveyor server. Actually, every Conveyor server is very simple, but we're going to install like a Conveyor server, sample server, run it, and it's going to be very quick. Let's go for it. First of all, let's install a new Laravel application. So composer, create project, Laravel. And here we are. We are creating a Laravel application. And now we go to the folder and we start by installing the dependencies. So let's start by installing LiveBelt. And all of this is in the LiveBelt documentation. And now we're opening our preferred IDE. Mine is PageStorm, and I'm going to add the providers that it needs to work. So let's go to Bootstrap provider. This here is Laravel 11, and now I'm going to install broadcasting, which is a common step for broadcasting with Laravel 11, and I'm installing it without reverb and without node because we don't need. And I'm going to install the Socket Conveyor client library, which is a JavaScript library npm package, which is the front-end dependency to connect to the Conveyor server from the front-end. The backend client is already installed by the LiveBelt composer package. So we can't forget a few steps. So if we go to the JS folder, you'll see the echo. I'm going to comment this out right away, and the next step is for me to add the Conveyor package to the front-end global scope. As you can see, the dependencies are finished installed, and now I'm going to add the broadcasting connection information. So let's go to broadcasting and let's add Conveyor to the connections, and then we can just go and make them available in our environment variables and change our broadcast connection to Conveyor. Last step before we are all settled is change the UI. So we have it functioning. So I'm going to clean up a bit the default welcome page from Laravel. Let's clean it up. Hello conveyor, and let's add the live belt component right here. It's a Livewire one, and this here is showing a channel, which is has the column, which means that this is a PHP code. So as you can see, this is a string, and I'm adding the user connection here. So this is not behind the login wall, but I'm not going to care about it right now. This is just an example. But this would, if this page sits behind the login wall, this is going to be the user ID. So this channel will be unique for that user, and no other user will be able to see it. As it sits right now, there is nothing unique about this connection, this channel. So everybody connecting to the same will be able to see the broadcast messages. The callback here is not in the PHP side of things, so it's really going to run a console log as a callback for every message received by this client here, the live belt. And that's pretty much everything you need to know to work with live belt. The rest is on the driver connector, which is not a big deal. Let's add now an event so we can interact with our front end via WebSocket. So let's go ahead and PHP artisan make event notification ready is how I'm naming this event. And I'm going to the folder and customize it a little bit. I already have one example ready here, and in this example you will notice that I'm broadcasting now. I'm broadcasting now because I don't want to queue the event dispatching. I want it to go now because the queues, they are not as fast as it can be, Conveyor can be. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it. And I'm forcing it to use the Conveyor, even though we don't need. I'm just going to leave it there, and that's all. Other than that, let's prepare our simple Conveyor server, which is not a big deal as well. Let's just add another folder here, so we isolate it, Conveyor, and add a file, server, and in that file let's add our simple server. And as you can see there, the dependencies are not matched here because I didn't run the composer yet. So let's go there and install composer. I want to install that directory independent from the parent directory. So that said, this is going to load and the dependencies are met. Alright, so let's now divide this screen into 4, and in this right here in the corner top right, I'm going to run Conveyor, and in this top left I'm going to run artisan serve. In the bottom left I'm going to run npm run dev, and I believe that's it. Here in the bottom right I'm going to run tinker. So let's first visit our page. There it is, our server. I just want the connection to be visible for us, so let's see. It's connected to Conveyor, and Conveyor is properly responding with the connection info, which is saying that this connection right here is the FD4, which might be important for some, not important right now. And then what we can do is we can go here and dispatch that event and see things happening. So I have an event dispatching ready here. I'm just going to remove this user ID from the example and pay attention here. Let me make it smaller. Oh, of course, I didn't add the namespace. There it is. Oops, it's a bit ugly here. broadcasting functioning perfectly. So there it is. Everything works as expected. One other thing that I can do is I can start listening to the events dispatched by Conveyor live belt. So I was not prepared, but I just had this idea. So let's see what we can do. As you can see, I'm dispatching an on Conveyor message here in the backend. So what we can do is we can log it. So let's log it. To do that, I'm going to add a listener. To add the listener, if we go to the, I don't always remember it, so let's visit Laravel documentation, listeners, and I'm going to with events, we add this to our Bootstrap app. Yeah, like since Laravel 11 things changed a bit, and I've been visiting documentation more often, which is not bad. So let's go here and add our listeners, and I'm going to generate a listener using this. Let's create more space here. Make listener Conveyor event listener. All right, so add listeners. This is probably default. I don't want to read documentation right now. And let's see how it goes. If we go there and Copilot already made a few things easy to us. So let's make it smaller here, make it a bit smaller here, and tail our logs. There are no logs right now, so let's touch it. So it means that nothing went wrong right to this point, right? So now that we have it, let's dispatch the event once more and see. All right, it didn't happen, and I would like to know why. So I created the event listener. I didn't put in the handle the actual event, so maybe that's it. Let's see now. All right, it worked. Conveyor event listener. There it is, the message right there. So we can listen the events in the backend and do something about it, and we can also listen to more events in the frontend. So if we go to the UI, we can see which event is being dispatched, which is on Conveyor message. So we can go on our frontend and add some more listening strategy, and perfect. Apple need, that's not what I want. Add event listener on load. What I want is on page load. I think I'm just going to do something more trivial and see if it works or not. So indo add event listener to on Conveyor message. Oh, maybe that's it. So let's reload the page, and maybe that's it. So if I dispatch, there it is. This is coming from my listener. So yeah, we are listening to the events dispatched on the backend, on the front end, and we are also seeing the callback coming from Livewire live belt component.